So the Baltimore Ravens are in fact making a significant change on special teams, specifically at the punt return position, and who's going to be playing and who's not in tomorrow's game against the Texans. Team, keep it clean. We got plenty to talk about. Before we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on, and leave a like on the video because it helps out a ton. Getting straight into it at punt return. We know to start off this season, our primary punt returner, it was Harty. The Ravens had signed Harty this offseason after losing Devin Duvernay to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I was thinking, all right, Harty, we got somebody who has specialized as a return man throughout his career. He has had a nice level of success throughout his career in the return game. So we got that spot handled out because I felt like that was an underrated need for the Baltimore Ravens in 2024. Again, especially after losing Devin Duvernay. But with Harty, it didn't work out. It didn't look good. And then unfortunately for him, he got hurt. But when he got hurt and Ravens put him on injury reserve, I think a lot of us knew that they weren't going to bring him back. They were not going to activate him from injury reserve, and his season was over. So then they moved on to Tylan Wallace as the primary punt return. And, of course, after last year's game against the Rams, we all think, oh, yeah, okay, Tylan Wallace, he's going to be straight. He's going to be real straight, especially since that punt return against the Rams last year, that was his very first time ever returning a punt. It's like, oh, my God, that's how you do your first punt return? So we love this. We were like, all right, Tylan Wallace is going to be back there. Cool. So Tylan Wallace being our punt return, it was okay. It wasn't anything crazy. He didn't break any longos, anything like that. But it wasn't really much explosiveness to Tylan Wallace's game back there at punt returner this year thus far. But then what changed for Tylan Wallace, what really messed him up, is the previous couple of weeks before Desmond King took over, Tylan Wallace, he had some fumbles, and it was like, oh, man. It was tough, and that was the beginning of the end for him. So what did John Harbaugh do? He moved on because they ended up signing Desmond King to the practice squad. And before you know it, quicker than I even expected, they had Desmond King getting called up for games. And not only was he getting called up, but he took Tylan Wallace's spot as the primary punt returner for the Baltimore Ravens. So I'm like, okay, Desmond King back there, what can he bring as a punt returner? But he had looked good. He was making people miss and getting some nice punt returns. And I said, oh, okay. But what happened with him, we saw it in the Giants game and we saw it in the Steelers game. He made some significant mistakes, those being fumbles. And when he made those fumbles, I said it during our live stream while we were watching that Steelers game, I said, oh, he's done. That's a wrap for him, because in the Giants game, I believe he had one fumble. In the Steelers game, I believe he had two. But when I saw him fumble, I said, yeah, that's it. He is not going to be the Baltimore Ravens punt returner anymore. He has officially lost that job. So whether they were giving it back to Tylan Wallace or they were going to try somebody else out, I just knew that was it for him. But the very next day after the game, in the Baltimore Ravens press conference, John Harbaugh said, no, Desmond King, he will continue to remain our primary punt returner. And I was like, what? Why? For what? How? This is not the same Harbaugh that I know. This can't be the same Harbaugh that when it comes to fumbling, for certain players, but when it comes to fumbling, he don't tolerate that. Like, at all, especially if you are a return man. If you fumbling on a kickoff or on a punt return, Harbaugh will bench you quick, fast, and in a hurry. And if you're lucky, you'll only get benched, because there have been times when we've seen him cut players. The one that comes to my mind every single time is Janarian Grant. I remember Janarian Grant, I think it was in 2018, but he was a really, really good punt returner, super, super agile, super, super quick. He was nice, but he had the fumbleitis. And he showed his stuff in preseason. He looked good in preseason. Ended up winning the starting return man role, but in week 1, I believe, he ended up fumbling. It was a rainy game now, but he ended up fumbling. Harbaugh was like, no excuses. Then he ended up getting cut. So, Harbaugh, he don't play them games, especially when it comes to special teams. So when he said that Desmond King was still going to be the punt returner, I was like, whoa, huh? But then things changed, because Desmond King, he's been on a practice squad, and when you're on a practice squad, you have 1, 2, 3 times where you can get called up to the game before they either have to put you on the active roster or they can release you from the practice squad. You can clear waivers and they can sign you back to the practice squad. So they use his first call up in the Giants game. They use his second call up in the Steelers game. But hold up. We got a game tomorrow against the Texans, and the Ravens announced that they have elevated wide receiver Anthony Miller from the practice squad for this game against the Houston Texans. So we're like, all right, where's Desmond King's name at? They didn't call him up. But hold up, ain't Desmond King the starting punt returner for the Baltimore Ravens? Apparently not, because they didn't call him up. So it seems to me as if the Baltimore Ravens are going to be doing one of two things. They could either be like, all right, Tyler, you're back on punt return duty. It's your job. Go ahead and do your thing. Or newly acquired wide receiver / punt returner Steven Sims, he could end up taking over the punt return duties. Now, Steven Sims, initially when the Baltimore Ravens, it was announced that they had claimed him. And they did say that the Baltimore Ravens, they actually put in a claim for him 3 days ago. Or actually 4 days ago from today. So I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know nothing about that. I hadn't heard nothing about it at all. Didn't know they even put in a claim for him. But they did. So maybe, and Jeff Zrebiec talked about this earlier today. He said maybe it was because the fact that John Harbaugh's comment, it came before the Ravens were awarded the waiver claim for wide receiver / kick returner Steven Sims. So maybe when John Harbaugh initially talked about Desmond King continuing to be the punt returner even after the fumbles, maybe John Harbaugh's like, well, we put in a claim for Steven Sims, but no, maybe we ain't getting, we don't know yet. So maybe he was just like, you know what, I'm going to just stick with that guy. I'm going to just give him a boost of confidence verbally, maybe behind closed doors. I may make some changes or whatnot. Maybe game time I may make some changes, but I'm going to give him that boost of confidence. I'm going to let the world know because, you know, Harbaugh like playing some mind games for sure. But now that is definitely not happening. So the Baltimore Ravens could either go to Steven Sims, who I didn't even realize he got a punt return for a touchdown on us in the Texans-Ravens playoff game from just last season. That's what ended up making the score be 10-10 going into halftime. So I'm like, oh, man, okay, well, if you can't beat him, then he joined them. So welcome aboard, Steven. Or they could end up going to Tylan Wallace, going back to him again and giving him another opportunity. So we'll see what happens in tomorrow's game once Ravens get that first 3 and out against C.J. Stroud and them Texans, and they force them to punt. But speaking of people who are going to be playing in this Texans game, who's in, who's out? Now, with Rashad Bateman, we remember that he was a game-time decision last week against the Steelers, and boy, he came through. He ended up getting a touchdown and all. But he was not even on the Baltimore Ravens injury report this week. So that is a beautiful thing, having a healthy Rashad Bateman. But his 1A, 1B receiver in Zay Flowers, he has been on the injury report. And he had missed the past couple of practices. But today, Zay Flowers was limited with a shoulder injury. Harbaugh has continued to say like he expects Zay Flowers to play, but we'll officially see tomorrow about 90 minutes before kickoff. Somebody else who was limited was Tre'Davious White, also with a shoulder injury. He's also questionable in this game, so the expectation would be that he will play as well. Now, Justice Hill, he's out with the concussion. Nelson Aguilar, he's out with the concussion. Jalen Armour-Davis, he's out with a hamstring injury. I know John Harbaugh said that it was actually right before the Giants game that Jalen Armour-Davis, he got that hamstring injury. So he was looking like he was going to play, but then pregame workout or something happened, and he was a no-go, and he's been a no-go ever since. And with Jalen Armour-Davis, man, it's been, I'm sure it's frustrating for him because there's been just a lot of injuries with Jalen Armour-Davis, man. And I was really somebody who thought this offseason, I didn't think he was going to make the roster. I really didn't. I thought it was a high chance that both him and Pepe Williams, they did not make the roster simply because the Baltimore Ravens didn't draft not one, but they drafted 2 cornerbacks. They both drafted both Nate Wiggins and TJ Tampa, and they brought back Arthur Millette as well. And then they still had Ardarius Washington too. So I was thinking, oh man, they kept a lot of this same, obviously Marlon Humphrey and Brandon Stevens as well. So I'm thinking they kept a lot of their same cornerbacks, and they drafted 2 cornerbacks. Oh yeah, both of those guys are done, but. Well, Pepe Williams, they did release him, but they kept Jalen Armour-Davis around. So he's been holding on, so shout out to him. Now, earlier this week, Daniel Falele, he had missed some practice time. And I know some fans are like, oh, okay, well, maybe not celebrating his injury at all, but some fans are like, okay, maybe we will see Ben Cleveland now. But Daniel Falele, he is off of the injury report, and so is Tyler Linderbaum, who missed the first practice that they had, I believe, on Sunday with an injury, but he's been practicing the past couple of days. And also Bo Braid, he practiced in full, and he's off the injury report as well. So now we reach my favorite part of these videos where we get to feature your questions. If you would like to take part in it, you can send an email to teamkeepitclean@gmail.com, or if you're a Team Keep It Clean patron, you can send it directly on Patreon in a DM. And if you'd like to join a Team Keep It Clean patron, you can go to patreon.com/Ingravenvids. Or if you want to send it in a more unique way, you can send it directly to our P.O. Box. The address is down below in the description, as are so many other ways if you would like to support the channel. I appreciate y'all. Y'all know early this week I was saying, man, I don't know how or if we are going to be able to get caught up with all these questions, especially with the game being on Wednesday. Guess what? By the end of this video, we will be caught up with every single question that was sent. Y'all are crazy, but after this, I may be just a little bit crazier than y'all. Anyway, first question came from my guy Clyde. He said, good afternoon. Praying all is well with you and yours. Hey, appreciate you, my friend. He said, I just saw Deontay Johnson sign with them Texans. It'll be interesting. Me and my wife will be at the game. Oh, that's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. So you and your wife both going for the game, or you going for the Beyonce concert, or both? Like, that's a nice surprise. I was just talking to my wife about it, and she was saying that that's real nice for the people who already bought tickets, who before they even knew Beyonce was going to be performing at halftime. So that's something right there. Anyway, he said, I'm from Houston, but been repping the Ravens since 96. I feel like the lone Raven here. Oh yeah. Well, you're not. I'm sure there's plenty of Ravens fans out there too. But he said, Lamar is fully focused and the team is backing him. Keep grinding. I appreciate everything you do to keep us updated every day. Stay safe. Hey, I appreciate that, Clyde. Enjoy the game, my friend. Next question came from my guy, Malcolm. He said, what's going on, Ingravenvids? Hey, what's up, Malcolm? What's up, baby? He said, I just subscribed to your channel about a week ago, but I've been watching your videos for the past couple of months. Oh, man, why you ain't subscribed a couple months ago? He's probably like, you know what? Let me do a little trial run. Because I don't know about this guy. I don't know about these videos. They kind of like so and whatnot. I feel you. Hey, it's all good, my friend. I appreciate you, though. He said, and I got to say, I love the channel. Can listen to your videos and do whatever, whether that's playing video games or doing homework. It always reminds me to get on the phone and talk football with my boys. Ravens football, of course. Hey, that's real right there. I appreciate you, man. He said, anyway, I just wanted to say that I believe because of the Justice Hill injury and Houston's lack of run defense. Oh, they got a bad run defense? I was not aware. Oh, that's really good for the Ravens if that's the case. He said, I believe that Keaton Mitchell will have his time to shine. He will because with Keaton Mitchell, Derrick Henry is a starting running back. So Derrick Henry, he obviously going to get his, but Derrick Henry don't be out there 24/7. And sometimes Derrick Henry, he get tired of trucking people. He'll break like 50 tackles, and he'll break a run for like 45 yards, and he'll be like, get me out of here, baby. So Keaton Mitchell, yeah, he definitely going to have his opportunity. Now, I'm interested to see how they divvy it up between Keaton Mitchell and Rasheen Ali. Since Rasheen Ali been playing the past couple of weeks and been playing a lot more than Keaton Mitchell really over the course of the entire season, he ain't been playing like so much, but he been out there more than Keaton Mitchell. I wonder if they're going to be like, you know what, Rasheen Ali, you be the number 2 and Keaton Mitchell be the 3. I don't think so, but we'll see. Anyway, he said, he will truly be our X factor as the Texans defense will most likely be preparing for a Derrick Henry powerhouse. Yeah, perfect change of pace back. He said, however, they fail to realize that that he is the weapon in the shadows. Like a diamond in the rough, Keaton Mitchell will shine. All love, go Ravens, and just like Derrick Henry said to the Titans, I'm out. Next question came from my guy, Luden. He said, I don't really have anything to say, but like I said last week, don't disrespect Sir Marlo. Oh, I love that. Hey, Marlon Humphrey, he been making people respect him all season long, and he is a quiet candidate. He probably won't win it, then they probably won't give it to him because they probably won't. They should. He should be a serious candidate for it, but he's somebody that should be in consideration for Defensive Player of the Year. Next question came from my guy, Zega. He said, Grand Rising, my friend, I just seen that the Texans picked up Deontay Johnson. Do you think that he was a move to get that little insight of our wide receiver playbook? He could be, but also you got to remember they lost Stephon Diggs, and they also just lost Tank Dell, so they're a little thin at wide receiver. So them adding Deontay Johnson, yeah, it could be a move to try to help get like a little one up on the Ravens or whatnot, but it's also for their wide receiver depth as well. He said, also, do you think he is going to try to have a statement game against us? I honestly don't really think he'll be very involved. I mean, we'll see if the Texans they give him a crash course on their offensive playbook or whatnot, or they just give him some simple routes on a couple of plays and whatnot. And I'm sure he will be extra motivated to try to shine against the Ravens, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think he'll really be out there too much, and I don't really think he'll be involved too much. But hey, I said the same thing about Tez Walker, and then boom, he ended up getting his touchdown. So with Deontay Johnson, I just still don't see it. He just got there. Coincidences? Next question came from my guy Rainmaker. He said, hey, Ingravenvids football as well with you and your expanding family. Appreciate you, my friend. He said, this is pretty long, but I think, and maybe you will too, find this strange, but hopefully, great news for our Baltimore Ravens. The 2012 season, the Ravens were the 3 seed, which hopefully they can get this year by winning out and the Steelers losing one more game. Hey, let's see. He said, in 2012, they also lost to both Pennsylvania teams. Oh, the Steelers and the Eagles. Yeah, they did. Jacoby Jones, he had beat Nnamdi Asomugha, and it was a nice touchdown. And they said, oh, it was offensive pass interference. I'm looking around. It's like, where was it at? Because I sure ain't see it. But it obviously worked out in the long run for the Ravens that year. He said the Super Bowl was in Louisiana, like this year. Oh, yeah, that's true. It's in New Orleans. He said in 2012, Beyonce performed at a halftime show. And he said it was almost bad luck. But anyway, yeah, and she did. She performed at the Super Bowl, and they used all the electricity for her show. And they said, all right, Ravens and 49ers, they had the leftovers for the rest of the game. Lights shut right off. Actually, that's probably Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell was like, look, man, Ravens, like, y'all chill out, man. Chill out. Like, I don't want nobody to turn off the Super Bowl because it's a blowout. Like, chill out, y'all boys. Just relax. Anyway, he said, and I think the most important part is Art Modell passed away and Ravens dedicated that season to him. This year, Jacoby Jones and Coach D passed away, and the Ravens have dedicated the season to them. Jacoby was on that team. Although the last part is sad, let's hope the outcome of the season finishes the same way. Yeah, that's an unfortunate part about football. It's just really about life, and not even just football. It ain't got nothing to do with football. Just life is death. It is temporary, but it is an unfortunate part about life, at least for now. He said, I thought those were very interesting coincidences. Be well, team, keep it clean. Yeah, it is. And also 12 years too. 12 years. Every 12 years. You already know what time. Like I tell everybody, like, Ravens got it this year. This is Ravens here to get it this year again. And that's gonna be so nice. I can't wait. Next question came from my guy Moore, and he said, I just wanted to give Brandon Stevens credit. Ever since Ardarius Washington came into play, those huge chunk plays haven't been near as bad in the secondary. That's true. That's a really good point. So I think yeah, give Brandon Stevens his credit. I mean, for some of them, they still have happened to him, whether it's a pass interference or something like that. But they have gone way, 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 way down. So shout out to Zach Orr, shout out to Brandon Stevens, shout out to Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins. He got something going on him too. Shout out to Kyle Hamilton and Ardarius Washington for holding down the back end. Roquan Smith said something the other day where he talked about with Kyle Hamilton, like with him holding it down in the defensive backfield, that he only got to worry about what's in front of him. He said before he would have to like relegate everything to the defensive backs and whatnot. So obviously talking about like Marcus Williams and whatnot and Eddie Jackson, but Roquan Smith said he could just communicate with the guys up front. Like, he ain't even got to worry about them back there. So I was like, ooh, okay. Now. Anyway, he said, we on CN21 get torched every game like we were, and I and others were very critical of Brandon Stevens, but I also believe if you are going to call out guys when they do bad, you got to give them credit when they do well. That's true. Now, with Brandon Stevens, he still has some moments. Even with the defense turning around a lot, he still has had his moments. But again, like you mentioned, it has not been nearly as bad as it was earlier. He said, this also goes for Zach Orr as well. I was one who thought we needed to make a defensive change mid-season, but things have been looking a lot better. Also notice how, with Michael Pierce back, Kyle Van Noy has been balling again. He won't win Defensive Player of the Year or break the sack record like I said he would, but I'm still very happy to have him and hope he retires a Raven. I had more to say, but I forgot what I was going to say. It's okay. I'm sure it'll come back to you. He also said, Brandon Stevens, Zach Orr, Kyle Van Noy, if you guys watch this video, don't slip up now, because every time I start praising the Ravens and its players, y'all always want to slip up every time I give y'all credit. I'm watching now that praise can turn back to criticism really quick. Oh yeah, I'm sure any Ravens player knows, especially a Ravens fan. I mean, any NFL player. Fans are crazy. Fans are pretty crazy. Some of them can give an analysis, they can give criticism, and respectful criticism, which we always try to do on here, because it's important to remember, no matter how you feel about the game, no matter how you feel about the players, these are people. These are sons, their fathers, their uncles, their brothers. They are men who are real people. They're not robots or whatnot. They got real feelings. They got real families. These are their real jobs. Like, and it's tough. It's very, very tough. Their jobs are put on public display 24/7. How much they make, whether they had a good or bad performance at work that day, everything is put out there all the time. If they missed a day at work, that's out there. Their salary, all of that. So imagine if all of that was put out there for that's a lot, man. That's a lot to deal with in itself. And then you got to deal with all the pressures of the NFL being not for long. Like, you could lose your spot at any given time just like that. It's just tough, man, and it's a lot to deal with. So give a big shout out to those guys, the whole NFL, because that's a tough task. And I know some people are like, well, that's what you signed up for, buddy. And it is what they sign up for. And they do make a good amount of money doing it too now. But still, they still human beings at both the beginning and end of the day.